Oh, yeah. Oh. Welcome to Wednesday, Secular Soapbox Day here on the Skeptic Haven Network. Today's special guest is Speed of Sound, and he's here to discuss religion and bad science. Let's start the show. Yay! And Captain Dadpool is here.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Speed of Sound, introduce yourself.
Doing good. Speed of Sound, Mike is also my name, and I got a very, very small channel that I have not gotten serious about yet called Answers in Atheism. And it could be a play on Answers in Genesis, but I actually take that seriously because I think atheism or a secular worldview actually does lead you to a whole lot of positive ways to live. And so we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
I'm primarily interested in combating the idea of creationism. I'm kind of an anti-theist because of what it does to science, mostly, and how it interferes with how science can help us to become a better species, basically a better race of humans.
Absolutely.
And, I believe in that very seriously, and I am very irritated that we're still believing in a 2,000-year-old myth. So, anyway.
1,000%. Yeah, no, right there with you, man. Stunted our growth as a species.
Stunted our growth. Right.
Man, speaking my language there, Mike. Oh, sorry, Speedy.
Yeah.
Speed. So you're a scientist as well. You study different things. What do you study?
Molecular biology, embryology, and I'm currently doing a little bit of heavy mathematics as it applies to biology, to modern biology. I don't have any degrees. I'm a computer scientist or computer consultant by trade. I got serious in getting back into chemistry and molecular biology about 20 years ago. And I probably have about 20 years of learning left before I will be confident that I know something, because it's a lot of work. But I study daily. I hit it daily. I mean, if I'm not learning something every day, I fail. So I take it pretty seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's fun. I mean,
it's
just absolutely excellent. Launch out of bed, crack open a book on molecular biology. That's my favorite thing in the morning, right?
Oh, man. No social media for you. Right to the molecular biology.
Right to the biology. Right. That's awesome. Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
Right now I'm reading a book called Life Itself by Robert Rosen, and a couple of books on a arcane kind of mathematics called category theory.
Wow.
And it has to do with the mathematics of complexity and how it all got started, and basically what life itself is. And Robert Rosen wrote the book in 1990. He died in 1998, and he has not been taken seriously enough. And I'm trying to resurrect some of that. And there are a whole bunch of real scientists that are also working on this, but it's kind of a fringe area, and it's pretty interesting.
That's awesome, man.
Category theory, most mathematicians call that abstract nonsense, and it's sort of the mathematics of mathematics. And I am hell bent on getting my mind around it, and I do not have my mind around it. So.
Yeah, no, mathematics is a foreign language to me, that's for sure. I have no idea what any of that stuff is.
I think it is too. I think even mathematicians would agree with you.
So. Yeah. No, why is it got to be so complicated? I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, when you start talking about mathematics within mathematics, like I'm completely out. You win.
Math times 2. Oh no.
Math section. Yeah.
So what made you get into all this?
How?
Yeah, what made you do it? Like, what made you, like, one day you just decided I'm going to start learning all this, and like, what was it? What happened?
when I was 8 or 9 years old, I picked up my sister's high school science book, and I started studying. And I wanted to become a scientist back then. And then, of course, instead, I became a drug addict and an alcoholic and a miner. And I actually worked in the iron mines on the Iron Range in Minnesota. And I just got
an actual miner.
Yeah, I dropped out. I dropped out of high school and
wow.
Got married at 17. Went to work. Became I am a really good drug addict and alcoholic. I mean, I took myself real seriously. And I went through.
Cheers.
When I was around 30, I got the hell out of northern Minnesota and I moved down to Minneapolis, St. Paul here, and went to school for electronics, electrical circuit design. Ended up getting into computer programming and became a consultant. I never had a full-time job. I've been a consultant all my life.
Wow.
Made a ton of money doing that. And then I sobered up 16 and a half years ago. And I decided that I was going to return to what I originally wanted to do when I was 9 years old, because I got it detoured, right? I went off for 40 years onto a different path, and so I'm passionately back into it. And the day I die, I hope it's a day that I have read molecular biology or something like that. I want to run off the dock at full speed. Is kind of what I'm trying. And then I got into YouTube because of Standing in Poop. I call him Standing for Truth.
Oh, I thought you said Standing in Poop.
Standing.
He did.
Yeah.
Originally.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what he calls it, Standing in Poop, because it's not really truth. I'm guessing here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no truth. No. So I started listening to him and other crazy people on YouTube, and then I ended up going down to the ACA in Austin, Texas, a couple times, and meeting those people and getting on the Bat Cruise, and I just slowly got into it, and then I started a channel. I've been hoping to actually produce content, but the crap we produce is not, you can't call it content. I mean,
well, have you seen Ray Comfort do things?
Oh,
yeah. He calls that content too, so
yeah.
I mean, I think you're okay.
But anyway, I'm trying, and someday I hope to do short videos trying to make some of this science accessible, like really accessible to atheists, so that you can fully understand how ridiculous it is when these creationists open their mouths. So
so tell us a little bit about that, about bad creationism. What is bad creationism?
Well, it's a bunch of rhetoric. It's a narrative, right? And it's something that they stumbled upon, that they were going to use science to prove God, right? That they were going to use. So what they ended up doing is using science to try to disprove all of modern science. So they have to come up with some sort of rhetoric that makes you doubt the 99% of the scientists in the world that believe in evolution, right? And the reason they do that is because they want to convince you that the Earth was zapped into existence 6,000 years ago, and it took 6 days to do that. And that is based on their reading of the Bible, which like most Christians are fine with evolution. I mean, it's like, okay, God created everything. How did he do it? Maybe he used evolution to do it, Maybe the Bible is, metaphorical and has analogies, and they insist that they are the little tiny group of people that understand the truth, and God is actually in communication with just them, and everybody else is wrong. And that's a real important part of their philosophy. And the real the reason we should all be concerned with that is because this is a tail wagging a big dog, and this is one of the Trump would not have got elected if it had not been for this kind of crazy, right?
Yeah,
that they're promoting.
Right.
And so it's bleeding into laws that they're trying to pass against, small groups of people that had pissed them off for some reason, and they're going nuts.
Weaponized ignorance.
They're going nuts.
Yeah.
I started watching Handmaid's Tale, and I am really freaked out by by the comparison to what the people in power are saying and what these religious people are saying about what they want to do. Right?
I haven't watched it yet.
It's really
that bad.
I keep hearing things. I'm scared to watch it.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
This could happen in this country, with just you push a few levers, a few things go wrong, people get scared enough, and they vote in the right people. And we have just a ton of senators and all that are actually calling for theocracy. And we could lose this country in the next 30, 40 years, or maybe even 5, maybe even 4.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how bad things go and how fast. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's just, and I don't know why they do it. I'm guessing it's because their egos are the size of God's, the proposed God, right? I can't imagine why they would want to, control all the rest of us, but that's basically what they want to do. So I think it's pretty serious stuff.
Absolutely. And then
as
the same one's going to wag their fingers at us and be like, pride is the worst sin of all.
Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah.
What are you trying to do right now?
There isn't a single thing that they say about us that doesn't directly apply to them.
It is 100% projection.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And they can't see it. They're totally blind to it. They can't see it. Like Sal Cordova in a comment today on Rebecca's thread, he said that, these evolutionists assume their conclusion before they put together these phylogenetic trees, tree of life. They assume their conclusion. Well, what the hell are you doing with 6,000 years, right? I mean, there isn't a single fact about geology or astronomy or anything that points to 6,000 years. They got that from the Bible, and they assume it's true, and they're trying to make everything fit it. And I almost swallowed my tongue, and it just...
Have you done any debates?
What's that?
Sorry. Have you done any debates with anybody over any of this creationism or anything?
Early on, I did some with Standing for Truth, and I did one with John Maddox, Logical, Plausible, Probable, and none of them go well. I'm not a great debater. I'm not a great orator. I don't thrive in that environment because I like to pick one thing and dig way into it. Get deep into just one thing. I cannot do Gish Gallop. I cannot do.
Exactly. It's exactly.
I can't.
Is a whole other skill. Completely separate from the topic you're debating.
Right. In a way, what you need to do to be good at debating is be good at lying through your teeth with rhetoric. I mean, you have to convince people with the force of your rhetoric, basically. And I find that unpalatable for my own person. I really appreciate it when I see somebody good at it, but I can't do it. I suck at it.
It's fun. I love it. I love communicating with the Bible believers. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love all the Gish Gallop, all the lies, all the stumbles. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Well, if you're good at it. Yeah.
I enjoy watching.
I don't know if I'm good at it, but I do enjoy it. Oh, thanks, Captain. Thanks.
Like internet edgelord debates, don't really care about those, but like scholarly debates, like you get your Barterman debating William Lane Craig. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Hitchens versus Turek, although Turek is definitely not someone I consider to be a scholar of any kind. But still, I enjoy those kinds of, high.
I would be really good at advising somebody who was going to debate. I'd be a good person to have at your elbow, and never put me on slides. Just put.
Don't give me the microphone.
Right. I think I'm going to try to debate Standing for Truth probably sometime in the next year on chromosome 2 fusion.
There you go.
That I would like to do if I can rig that up. So. Oh yeah, me and Leo mentioned in the chat that he and I debated Praise and Gavin. Shirtless Gavin, that guy. Praise I am that I am. Gavin is like, oh my god. one time he was debating somebody and he stood up and he was in his whitey tighties.
Oh, see, I would actually give him points for that.
Oh yeah, and he takes his shirt
Bravo,
off.
sir. Bravo.
Yeah. He takes his shirt off and lays. He's an Aussie nutcake, you know. And Gavin was telling us we aren't doctors, but he is. He got some kind of degree, and I forget what it was. Leo probably remembers, but he got some kind of like a degree in massage or something like that, or
massage.
Really? And he called himself a doctor, and it was funny as shit.
Wow.
Oh god.
I forgot about that debate, Leo. That was pretty cool.
Acupuncture.
Yeah, maybe it was acupuncture.
You can. Yeah. Oh man, you can chi your chakras and shit with pins. That sounds
fun. Gavin Herleman, and if you look him up on Google, the first thing that will come up with is his fiasco he had with his ex-wife when he paid her to come back to him, and then he ran out on her and she left him again. I mean, it's all on Google, the whole story.
That's amazing.
Absolutely,
I'm not familiar with this.
Amazing. Oh my god, you've got to get Google out, and Leo's got the name right there, and you got to look at it.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Herleman.
Yeah,
I'll definitely check that out. That sounds interesting.
It's a sideshow. It's absolutely amazing. So, what do we have here? Rebecca did this thing today on heart evolution.
Oh.
Yeah, which was like 5 minutes.
Rebecca. She gave me the most difficult atheist award.
Oh, really? The most difficult?
Jealous.
Yeah.
Wow, you weren't atheist. You weren't atheist of the month. Anyway, she is shunning me, right?
I love this.
Rebecca is shunning me right now.
She's a funny one. Why is she shunning you?
Well, she started shunning me first because she just couldn't talk to me about evolution anymore. She couldn't deal with me, and
I can see that.
It was just she said, "You're so biased, you're so biased, and it's like, okay. And then she refused to talk about me, but now she's shunning all atheists. So she's throwing us all out of her channel. She's blocking us all, and even. Captive Death Dave, she blocked him, and he got an Atheist of the Month award, and he's blocked now. A whole bunch of other people. So she's shunning us, and she hasn't responded to any of my emails, any of the things I've sent her. We have a kind of a backstage friendship, but she has not responded to me at all in a month. So she hates me now because...
Well, I'm sorry she hates you.
Well, I'm one of those goddamn spiritual atheists, right? I understand spirituality and religion, the emotional aspects of religion, right? And she thought I was like the most likely to be converted. And so she even had a Bible study for us atheists, and all it did was just push us further away from the idea, and she is very disappointed with me. I'm her worst student, so she didn't like me.
Oh, terrible. She doesn't like it when people just don't believe. She gets upset about that.
Yeah, we just won't believe. We just can't accept God in our hearts. I don't know why. Well,
just pretend, Speed. It's all you have to do.
I know.
Jesus will save you from himself.
Yeah, if you just get on your knees and say, God, come into my heart. It's just like, he will come. Oh, it's amazing.
It's such a weird concept. Christians are so weird. Oh, my gosh. So this answers an atheism thing. Is that a thing you're starting? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, Answers in Atheism. It's a YouTube channel with 610 subscribers, and we've been around for 3 years. And Scott Duke, one of my co-hosts, Captive Desk, I have on, and James Apperson, and we just get together. And what I like to do is I like to link all the videos that are currently the garbage of the day, and put it in my description and talk a little bit about them. And then we just get together and talk about ideas. And there's a lot of ideas to talk about. And I'm 72. I have to talk fast because I don't have long left. So I'm trying to get
not long to do it.
Well, I'm trying to get my life story out. I'm trying to do some things with addiction and recovery too, and how it relates to Alcoholics Anonymous and the God thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a lifelong atheist, and I'm a lifelong AA person. So I make it work for me, and it is a damn shame that the word God freaks a lot of people out. And so I'm trying to reconcile some of that and come up with a agnostic form of AA. So that's another project on my back.
That'd be helpful.
It is, because it's a good program. The program actually works. There's actually stuff that makes a lot of sense, but they gotta drag religion into it.
Just gotta throw it in there.
And Alcoholics Anonymous does not do that. The organization itself doesn't do that. It's the fact that the organization is in this country that is a problem. So that's all the drag stuff going in there. That's kind of an aside, but
well, it's still important. Still important things to be working on for sure. Get that God out of there. We don't need that crap.
Well, there's a good example of bad science. Like, people think that, the fallen down drunk alcoholic who's, screwing his family up and losing his job, they think it's some sort of spiritual weakness or some sort of weakness in the person. And if you look at the science of alcoholism, you can fully understand why a certain segment of the population is susceptible to that. In fact, they just did an experiment on zebrafish and found out that 10% of them have the same addictive characteristics. I mean, these are fish.
Yeah.
So it's like built into the structure of our brains and our genetics. And if you rather want to judge a person for being a drunk, right, rather than understand that there is something about their makeup that creates that behavior, and there's a solution for it, and it's a semi-scientific solution, you're not going to save the person. You're going to kill the person if you try to throw God at them. That sort of thing. So,
I think it makes it a little more stressful too. You got that higher power that you have to respond to, that you have to answer to, and all that shenanigans. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm okay.
So as far as we all know the negatives with religion, but you were speaking earlier about the positiveness of atheism. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, it's when you understand the context of what we are. We're organisms, right? And we have brains that are developed, and our minds are made of molecules, and you understand our place in the universe. You become a little bit humble, for one thing. Okay, you understand that you have a short life, that you're going to live that life, and that you need to live it as fully as you can. And you also start to understand that it doesn't matter if you disappear from the world, as long as the world sticks around and there's new kids on the block. and it's sort of a Buddhist perspective on secular Buddhist perspective on what I am. Understanding what I am and being able to let go of my own ego, my own life when the time comes, and live live as if everybody is as important as me. Because when you look at it scientifically, biologically, okay, we're little blobs of goo on a little speck of dust in this and it just sets you back, and you get a perspective, and then you realize that all the meaning in your life, you and the people that you love are the ones that are going to create that meaning. And we're meaning machines, and we're sitting here for 100 years creating meaning and wonderful things with each other, and that is a good way to live. And,
very well said.
The purpose of life is to create meaning.
It is, as much as you possibly can. Draw pictures, whatever the hell you do. Do YouTube channels, talk to people, open a door for somebody. Just all the wonderful, meaningful things that you can do in a day. And I think if you truly understand naturalism, if you take it to the far limit, you'll get to a place where you become selfless, where you aren't the most important thing in the world, and that's what I mean by answers in atheism. So
nice.
And the other thing is that we are organisms. Go ahead.
I was saying that's a big criticism I have of all the apologists out there that are saying atheists don't. It's such a bleak, meaningless existence. You can't.
Because you don't have an invisible friend.
You can't have purpose without it. And my reaction is like, what makes you think the universe or a god owes you purpose? Why is that part of your? Like, why don't you think you were put here to give the universe meaning? Why is that not an option? Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because Jesus, that's why.
They can't see past that.
It's such a patriarchal family type philosophy that they have.
Absolutely.
And except they never grow up. Daddy's always in control.
Yeah.
And daddy gives them meaning, and daddy gives them, the morals, right? And it's like, that's not how an adult is supposed to live. You're supposed to grow the hell up.
Grow the fuck up, man. Yeah.
Grow the fuck up.
Do it yourself. You got this.
And it's such a dark philosophy. We're sinful and we're evil, and it's just built into us. Yet somehow we're more special than any other animal. And I don't know how they put those two things together. We're shitty sinners, and yet we're the greatest thing on earth. We're in the universe. It's like, what the fuck? Does any of that that screws you up? That sets you up to be a miserable son of a bitch. That's like,
yeah. And that whole ideology behind the concept of original sin came from Saint Augustus in the 3rd century, because he couldn't explain why he was horny all the time. That's where the doctrine of original sin came from, you guys. Saint Augustus in the 3rd or 4th century, because he writes about it in detail. He's like, he married someone like 30 years younger than him because he just couldn't help himself, and he talked about trying to abstain from sexual immorality, but then he had wet dreams. He talks about this, way too much information. But that's why he came up with the idea of being born inherently sinful, because no matter what we do, we're our body is going to do this evil shit. Yeah. Anyway, so
when those tossers say to us, "Oh, you don't want to accept God because you just want to sin," they're the ones that are thinking about a sin. And what sin do you think they're thinking about?
Again, projection.
They're thinking with their dicks. It's like they tell me, you just want to sin. I'm 72 years old. I'm single. I have 3 cats, no girlfriend, never going to have one again. What the fuck sin am I going to do?
I still have yet to have been invited to an orgy.
There you go.
I thought the invites would just start rolling in my DMs in my mailbox, and nope. Still haven't gotten them.
You got to be a Satanist for that. That's what it is. You turn over to Satanism. That's what it is. They have all the good orgies apparently. I don't know. Or was that the Lord of the Rings parties? I can't remember. One of those.
And that same criticism comes again in the 2nd century with Irenaeus, when he's criticizing the Gnostics in his books called Against Heresies. It's like the Gnostics, they engage in all this sexual practices and cult orgies and things like that, and they weren't. There's no evidence that that's not what they did. He was just literally slandering them because he couldn't argue with them. So he was just like, they like doing sex stuff. That's why they won't. That's why they won't come to our version of Christianity. Yeah, there's really is nothing new under the sun. It's just the same shit over and over and over again for 2,000 years.
Weird. History repeats itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and their attacks on the LGBTQ community is very much based in their own weird sexual fears and ideas. And every now and then, like on AIG the other day, we were playing a video, and he let it slip. That basically that was where his little mind was going to take this, right? They were talking about camps in America. There's an organization that controls children's camps called ACA. That's not the Atheist Community of Austin. It's a
I always knew there
camp
was something
organization.
weird about them.
I didn't hear about that branch.
Anyway, they just put out a publication where they said they're going to start paying attention to transgender issues, right? And so they're educating people, and they're coming up with methods of dealing with it. Well, the guy on he was on with Ken Ham. What he thought of right away is, a trans woman's going to end up in your little girl's cabin at night, So that came out of his mind, right? Mm-hmm. His mind got that up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like you can tell how fucked up they are about sexuality and being a human.
Yeah, no, they have to come up with these ideas and these scenarios. Matt Slick, I was talking to Matt Slick, not recently, but in the past. He came up with a scenario that he had to think of himself to make rape good or neutral. He was trying to come up with this idea, and his best idea was shit. But that's his train of thought. He's thinking towards that. This dude sits in his bed at night staring at the ceiling. How can I make rape sound good? No. I'm going to get those atheists.
Yeah, right.
He's so bad. He's so bad. He's not very slick, but yeah. Anyways.
It's like there's the criticism of I take my kids to the pool a lot, so I hear this. And I hear parents complain about putting your little girl in a 2-piece bathing suit instead of a 1-piece sexualizes why are you sexualizing your daughter? You're not sexualizing your daughter. The person saying that is the one doing that. You're the one thinking those things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Projection. Today's special word is projection. In honor of PB Herman, sorry.
He's riding the giant bike in the sky now.
Man, I'd love to have that bike. That's besides the point. We're not done. So, Speed, who has influenced you to do these kinds of things? What's influenced you to do this? Any person? Was it a scenario? Was it something that happened?
Oh, God, I think it was Dark Matter. Some early people. And Matt Dillon, of course, and Eric Murphy and Jamie Boone out of the ACA. The ACA kind of got it going for me, I think. Just listening to them and how they handle it. Christopher Hitchens, great hero, that sort of thing.
Mm.
And,
have you heard of Boris Valakai?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He is excellent. Yeah.
He's a friend of mine.
Yep.
He's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, we went over, God, I can't remember their names now. It's too late for me. But we went over a couple of really good content creators yesterday, and there's a new one. I should find him because I can't with a good conscience not tell you who he is.
Did it start with a C? Captain? Maybe.
I'm not really new though. I've been around for
well, maybe new to him.
Years
Oh, here we go. Explaining creationists. Explaining evolution to creationists. And let me just throw this up here. I suppose it's going to start blathering when I pick it up. Okay. Zach B. Hancock. I don't know if you've listened to him, but he did a video. No. And this video is so good on going over science, what science is, why creationism isn't science for the first half of the video. And then he starts explaining evolution and how it works, and he does it in a very good, just a wonderful manner. I mean, he does a really good job. He starts there, and then he gets up diagrams. He explains population, genetics, and a whole bunch of other things to people.
What was his channel called again?
Zach B. Hancock. I'll let's see. Let me put the link in chat. Oh, I don't have a wrench, do I? Do I have a wrench?
Hancock. You need help spelling that one?
Okay, I'll put it in private chat, and you guys can share it. But he is just wonderful. I mean, his content is really good. I think.
I am now subscribed to his channel.
Nice.
I'm too big.
Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Nice job. I could not have put any of that all up there. That was fancy. I'm impressed with your technical skills, sir.
Well, you wouldn't be if you watch my show. We stumble. Sometimes my sound doesn't work, and I'm just like, "What the hell's going on?" And then
creating content is a whole different animal. You can be like top of your field, and then you go to like make content about it, and you sound like an idiot because you don't know. But so
my co-host said that every now and
a whole different ball game.
My co-host always says that I have Windows Tourette's because I have too many windows open because I've got two 55-inch monitors, right? And right now I've got 10 windows open, and sometimes I'm like, God damn it, what the calls it Windows
like
Tourette's.
That's what I do.
Yeah,
I love it. That's good.
Cool.
Well, I mean, at least you're learning. You got a lot of things open. You're working on shit. So I mean, I think it's a good thing to have a lot of tabs open. Personally, probably because I do it too. But
luckily, as a content creator, the more consistent you are and the bigger you get, soon you'll start getting offers from people like, "Hey, I'd like to help you out with this," and so you might start getting some people who want to run those things for you behind the scenes.
That's a good idea. I'm going to start ending all my shows with "Help me." Help me.
I think I'm going to change that up too. Thanks, Captain. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Peter from Gonna Go For It does production for R and Raw, and he's very good about volunteering to help people out. If you're interested.
Maybe.
You growled. Do you know Peter?
No.
Okay. Anyway.
No, I don't know a whole lot of people. I know Captain Dadpool. I know a couple of people from here.
So I don't even know myself.
Well, true. I wouldn't say
I'm still working that out.
That's a whole other topic. That's
yeah.
Speedy, what do you find to be the worst creationist argument?
The worst creationist argument. Sal Cordova's protein orchard argument, which you're probably not familiar with. But
talk about it. What is it?
Well, it's kind of technical, but anyway, Sal Cordova will put a protein on the screen. He'll show you a protein. Like proteins are like a long string, right? But in the string, they have something called domains, and these domains are kind of like if you met a machine shop analogy, if you have a drill and you put a drill bit on it, or a tool, or you put a brush on it, or a circle saw, or something like that. It's a thing that does something, right? So he'll put some complicated thing on the screen, and he'll, a complicated thing from today, 4.5 billion years after evolution got started, and he'll just, that couldn't possibly evolve. And then there are like in your body right now, you got like probably 20, 30, 40,000 proteins that are active in every cell, right? And these proteins are related to each other. They have families. They have family trees. So like some proteins look like each other. And they look exactly as if they evolved by a duplication process plus mutation, right?
Wow.
And so anyway, Sal Cordova insists that he keeps asking us, how is there a common ancestor for all these proteins? Okay. In other words, a common ancestor for all these different families of proteins. And he totally misses the mark because when life started, there were hundreds of thousands of different proteins, probably in the first cells, right? And of course, you ended up with a whole lot of diverse, unrelated families. Like I may be related to a banana, but insulin is not related to topoisomerase or some other protein, right? And he insists that that's a gotcha for evolution. And I'd probably have to get a drawing pad out and start at the beginning and explain to you why that is the most ignorant thing anyone could say. And yet he goes to conferences and gives talks on this, like, Sal Cordova came up with this slam dunk evolution is false idea. And then he insists that we're straw manning him. But when he insists that we're straw manning him, it is obvious that he still doesn't get it. He doesn't. He is so wrong, and he has no idea why he's wrong, and there's no way to communicate with him on it. And it's just it's hilarious. But one of them, the other one is well, I guess the chromosome 2 thing. ERVs, created heterozygosity. Have you heard of that? Oh
just now.
Oh,
yeah.
Sounds
fun,
okay. Though. You guys don't
Tell
do
me about
this stuff, so yeah.
No, that's why we're here, though, because I don't do
well.
This stuff.
Okay, if we hopped off the ark 4,400 years ago, right? The human population is too diverse. We have too many differences in our genes to explain how. I mean, that couldn't possibly have happened in 4,400 years. So their idea is that God created Adam and Eve with all this variation, this diversity, and he did it on purpose so that we could spread out and become very different, right?
Yep.
And in this Zach B. Hancock video that I want to put the video too in private chat. You should put it in your public chat. People should go watch it. I'll put it in private chat. He explains why that's a bullshit idea. And the other thing they came up with, get this. So they got shot down on this, they got shown why that couldn't be the case. Well, then they said, okay, they created Adam, and he has one genome, so he has 2 sets of chromosomes. So the most you could have is one difference between those 2 chromosomes, right? Well, then Eve, of course, she could have one difference, but they said no. God planted 30,000 diverse eggs in Eve that were all different genetics, right?
What? I have not heard that one before.
Oh, God, you gotta watch Standing and Poop more, because
the shit some people come up with, man.
Yeah, they come up with
magic. I mean, that's just weird.
That's crap, and and then the whole thing, that all the diversity of the cat family and the dog family, just evolution exploded when they hopped off the ark. They hopped off the ark. They hopped off the ark. They booked airliners and really fast boats so they could spread over the world.
Yep.
And then they
kangaroos hopped their way over there.
They evolved at super speed. They start out with a dog, and then the dog's wife has a kid, and it's a coyote, and it's like, oh, I mean, it's rapid evolution is what they need to make this thing work, and it just doesn't work. And there's so many. No. I need to come up with a list so I can be more coherent when somebody like you asks me what my favorite.
Get a list and start knocking them off. Yeah, that sounds cool, man. Yeah, I mean, your shit, so you might as well correct some bad creationism or some bad science.
I try.
Well, we appreciate it. Somebody's got to do it. I can't.
Some days I wake up or every time I'm about to go live, it's like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? What the fuck are we doing?
It's a shame that we have to do this, that we can't have maybe more meaningful conversations. I watched last night. Sean McDowell did a live show with Justin. I can't remember his name, but they were talking about the fall of new atheists, or the fall of new atheism, and they were talking about the 4 horsemen of atheism.
Right.
And their argument was Dawkins and Harris, they don't talk about religion as much as they used to.
That's right.
They don't debate theists as much as they used to. Now they're talking more about political issues, right? It's like, that's their argument. And I'm like, bitch, that's the point. That's the goal. Those are the conversations we want to be having. We're over here arguing with you that no, the earth is not 6,000 years old, when we have a whole political party who wants to cook our planet to death. And we're trying to I'd rather talk to them and tell them why that's stupid, but instead, no, I'm over here telling you yeah, you can't possibly fit two kinds of every animal on a boat that's
Right.
an eighth of the size of the Titanic.
Yeah.
So can't believe I'm having this conversation right now. You're dumb. Shut up. I would love to have this conversation over here. So, yeah.
Speaking of climate change,
not the criticism you think it is.
If God really wanted to save all the animals, he would have commissioned 2,000 arks. 100%.
Yeah.
So Ken Ham
wanted
from
them to drown.
Ken Ham from Answers in Genesis just came up with some videos about climate change, and his point is that God controls the climate, and he's going to keep it just fine, and then one day he's going to turn the heat up and cook us all. And it's just like, he's like, there's no such thing as climate change. And it's like, have you been to Texas in the last month? It's like, Jesus.
Yeah, says the guy that believes in Noah's Ark. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. It reminds me of that moment in that debate between Hitchens and Frank Turek, when Hitchens points out that we're on a collision course with the Andromeda's galaxy, and Frank is like, "Oh, but there's going to be an intervention before that."
Right.
And Hitchens is like, "Oh, there is. Convenient, really."
So I have a friend who, and I hope he isn't watching, but he told me after Trump got elected, he said, maybe this is a good thing, because I was trying to tell him how upset I was and how unhinged I thought Trump was. He said, maybe it's a good thing, because maybe this will trigger the apocalypse. That Trump is going to hit the button, trigger the apocalypse. And he actually said that it could be a good thing, could be part of God's plan.
Why would the apocalypse be a good thing?
It's good for them because they get to go home. It's just bad for everybody else, but you know what? Too bad. They don't care.
Yeah, their lives suck, and they just want to sin, and they can't sin, and they just want to die, but they can't kill themselves because that's a fucking sin. So they're stuck, so they're hoping that God will pull a plug for them.
It's like, and then during the apocalypse, if you read Revelation, during the apocalypse, like 99.9% of the population is going to be killed by Jesus.
Yeah,
like that's what you're looking forward to, really?
Well, they were happy. They were happy the last time the flood thing, I'm just like, God,
they love genocide. It's all part of the plan.
One of them was talking today. I was watching a video on the flood. I think that was AIG too. And they said they were trying to explain it had to be a global flood because God had to kill everything with flesh, everything that breathed. And then a minute later he said, yeah, but the birds didn't need to be on the ark because they could fly away. And it's like, well, what the fuck did you kill all the mammals for and let the birds fly away? I mean, why did the birds get a pass? Where did they? Yeah.
They're like, of course, they only need the fish on the ark because the fish are like, the fresh water mixes with the salt water and they would all die.
Yeah, no problem there.
Did you have a bunch of aquariums on the ark?
But I mean, why did God kill all those fucking land animals and let the fish and the birds go? I mean, shouldn't they have suffered the same fate? I mean, did God like fish and birds more? I don't know.
Definitely. Well, waters went above the tallest mountain, right? So above the tallest mountain, is there oxygen? Can we breathe up there? Can Noah breathe? How are they breathing from this high elevation? And aren't they frozen? Isn't it really cold? Like, none of this makes sense. Just
before the flood, God provided more oxygen than he does now. So.
Yeah.
Oh, silly me. Yeah, silly me. The boat was actually an oxygen creator. He gave Noah the ability to create oxygen in the boat. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. And heaters. He had heaters too.
So I mean, I know I have a lot of close friends that are atheists now that used to be believers, and I've always been an atheist. My mom drugged me to church when I was 6 to 8 years old, and I told her it was bullshit. But
you were a brave man, sir.
She didn't indoctrinate. Well, she didn't indoctrinate me, and my parents did not force it, and my community didn't force it. So I got out of that. But some people, get into it. But then when you look at it from the outside, when I looked at it with my, 9-10-year-old mind, I'm like, what the fuck are you? Why are adults believing this stuff? And then when you get out of it and you look back at it, you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. It looks so bad. I'm so embarrassed of my old self for sure.
Yeah. The other thing they said on that AIG video is they said, I don't know, for some reason atheists like to make fun of the ark more than anything else. I wonder why that is.
It's such an easy
Weird.
We just want to make fun of the ark.
I love it. I do now. Now I kind of do. Now it's kind of my thing because they
Couldn't
pointed it out.
have anything to do with the fact you made an entire museum out of it.
Right. He actually built a goddamn ark on the side of a building. I would love them to launch that on Lake Superior during a gale. I'd love to see what happened to that thing.
A small pond. I would just like to see anything. Good luck.
Shit.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what kills me about all these these science deniers who have Facebook PhDs, and they're like, yeah, I did my own research, and I'm like, you got a microphone or a microscope behind you. I'm like,
yeah.
Really? Where's your lab? You did your own research? Where's your lab?
Yeah.
What company do you trust to accurately calibrate your equipment?
Right.
Because if you're a serious scientist, you have an answer to that question.
Yeah.
You use a guy who calibrates your microscopes.
There's a certain company that has high reviews on Science Yelp. I don't know. But these people are really good at what they do, and they make sure my measurements are very fine-tuned, and that they're who I trust. And who do you use to calibrate the equipment in your lab? Oh, you don't even have a lab? Then shut the fuck up.
Well, I guess I'm guilty. I mean, I'm kind of a poser. I have a microscope here because I've always had a microscope, like in my house all my life, ever since I was 8 years old. So, but I don't actually do any laboratory work, and I do research online, basically through books and online and through papers and stuff like that. But I can't call myself a professional. I don't have a degree. So.
Yeah.
I'm a high school dropout.
You're not a Facebook scientist, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I take it seriously. I actually learn the goddamn material. Read the textbooks. It starts with textbooks. It doesn't start with listening to what some ass says on YouTube.
Yeah.
Listen, Speedy, this is the only textbook I need.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's the only textbook.
The only textbook you need.
Parental. What the hell?
Oh yeah, I got parental advisory on my thingamajigger. It's okay to not believe because that's my shit.
If we're doing that.
Oh, it's okay not to believe.
Here's mine.
Oh yeah.
Green screen's kind of messing it up.
See?
What do we got?
Oh, Dying Out Loud. That's a good
Dying
sticker. I
Out
love
Loud.
that.
Dave.
Yeah.
That's from Atheist Troll. Baff and Mel.
Okay.
Love it.
I got.
I met the Dying Out Loud
down here.
I met the Dying Out Loud guy down in Austin when he first got his diagnosis, or not long after, when he first started doing it.
Yeah,
Dave, at the ACA. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He's the best guy. He's the best among us. He really is.
Yep.
I've gotten to meet him a few times. Yeah. He's nothing but heart. He really is.
Yeah.
Super smart too. Super smart guy.
Oh yeah, he is.
To Dave, out there. To Dave.
Cheers.
For sure.
Dave.
Man. So as far we've covered the bad creations thing, do they have any good arguments that you consider?
No.
That's the easy answer. I love it. I love that.
They got nothing. They got nothing.
They have arguments that they hammer on to more than others. But
yeah. Well, they have favorite papers, right? Like Saul Cordova has favorite papers. They like to pick on Richard Lenski's long-term E. coli bacteria. He's done 100,000 generations of bacteria, and he's tracked every one of them, trying to understand the intricacies of evolution. They love picking on him. He wrote a paper that said something like fitness gains in spite of genome loss or gene loss. That he had a certain line of bacteria. What's that?
You can lose
they lost their genes. The poor little E. coli lost their genes. So
right.
They're naked out there. Now they're in their whitey tighties like Gavin. They're rolling
He stood up on
Anyway.
camera by accident. And,
Yeah, so Sal Cordova will point to that, and that is his slam dunk. That title is all he refers to. He never read the goddamn paper. If he did, he'd understand that it was one line of highly fast mutating bacteria, and they don't understand anything about any of the experiments. They'll pick a paper, and they'll cherry pick a quote, and two sentences later, it will contradict them, and they'll say, "Oh, that's only because he's an evolutionist and he has bias." And so you're reading the same fucking paper from the same person, and you're saying he's right up here, but he's wrong down here. How does that work?
Religion, that's how that works.
Yeah, and that's all they got. That's all they have is these one-off arguments, and they rely on the common man's lack of understanding of the mechanics of evolution, which is a huge thing to learn. It takes a long time to see how these little things might work. They rely on that, and then they add the rhetoric, and then they'll spice it up with, well, a secular scientist said this. You know, look at that. Wow, it's over now.
Yeah.
End game, evolutionists.
I love when they invoke the name of Anthony Flew.
Oh God, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Those who don't know, he's the head of the Human Genome Project, and he was a correct me if I'm wrong. He was like an atheist or indifferent or agnostic, and then like during his research, he became either a deist or some sort of theist, but he's not a Christian. He didn't.
Wasn't he the one that got old and basically had a little bit of dementia, and then he converted? Was that him or?
Yeah, that's what it takes.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Okay,
but maybe.
Okay, I missed that. How do you spell Flew?
Flew. He wrote a book called The Language of God. It's a very good book. He's a phenomenally brilliant scientist. Francis Collins. Yes, thank you, Phil. Francis Collins,
yeah. He's
the one. There you go.
Yeah, and these guys, like Francis Collins is an old Earth evolutionist, or there's another name for it, but basically they're agnostic about how God did it, and they're agnostic about the actual existence of Adam and Eve, and they certainly don't believe in the flood and Noah's Ark. But they're Christians nevertheless. They have this strong faith, and the thing about strong faith when you're in a religion or some sort of spiritual practice, there is a mode of operation of humans that's just called having faith. And I don't know if you've ever had the feeling, like you ever been in one of those groups where they have you fall backward into and they catch you, or you fall
I know
backward.
of it. I've never done it, but I know of it.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it. I've been institutionalized a few times for my alcoholism, so anyway, I've done it. But anyway, it's that feeling of just knowing that you're okay, and it's a warm feeling, and that's what they mean when they have a personal relationship with God. Because they pick something, right? Some idea, and they're basically giving it all of their faith. They're leaning into it. They're leaning back into it. And good Christians, I guess Christians that don't fuck with us on politics and science, are like that, right? They have a strong faith that the universe is unfolding as it should, and that's all you goddamn need. And I don't have a bone to pick with the people that accept science, except. There's one place where I cross swords with almost every believer, and that is on the idea of consciousness not being physical. You know, this how our mind works and how the brain.
Well, that's a whole nother show right there.
Yeah,
that is a whole nother show. Oh yeah, I love because I have worked on consciousness. I got into that in about 2000. I was on the Richard Dawkins forum for a long time. I did 50,000 posts in the process of learning the philosophy of mind and the philosophy of consciousness. I think it was like 55,000 posts all together on 2 forums. And anyway, I have a real strong interest in convincing people that you just physical. You are pure physical. No
There's
fucking
no ghosts.
spirits, no funny shit, no dualism, whatever. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Well, this has been
Okay.
fun. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for this. Where can we find you at?
Answers in Atheism with no spaces, and hopefully, do I need to give you a link to my channel?
Sure,
And
why not? I mean, good.
Yeah, we get on about 2-3 times a week, and we just throw things around. And like I say, someday you're actually going to go there and you're going to have real content, real
And
actual
subscribe.
content. I promise. Let me see here. Who the hell am I?
I'll post it in the chat.
Okay, I gotta find it. Yeah.
There we go. Oh no,
I'll
that's
put
not
it. I'll put it in private chat.
Cool.
Private chat. Okay. Anyway, fun.
Awesome.
I'm sorry I didn't bring more bad science for you, but
You're good.
That gets
it was perfect. It was great.
that gets a little detailed. So anyway. Okay.
Yeah. No, we love it. No, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for everything. I also want to thank the patrons: Sidney Davis Jr., Junior Eric Ozols, Tara S, Rion, Deneen Murphy, Dan D, Michael Wiseman, Kathy Cotton, Cindy Plaza, Sunny Shell, Aaron Coalson, Phil Calderone, and Jamie West. Don't forget to check out our other shows in Skeptic Haven, Secular Soapbox on Wednesdays. That's today. Secular Soap, that was it. Thursday, the Sunny Spot. Saturday, the Global Atheists and Women Atheists Unload. And Talk on Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Bye.
Good night, guys. Love y'all.
Good night.